All right, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Galaxy Beacon. I'm Matt.
I am Carly.
And I'm Rob.
And today we're gonna kind of step away from the speculation and from the, talking about established things, and we're gonna talk about things we wish could be. We are all going to pitch our ideas for Star Wars games, essentially. That's kind of what we decided on. We all said, hey, we're all going to get together. We're going to talk about Star Wars games we would love to see happen. And we all just kind of prepared ours independently. So we're going to kind of pitch some of the ideas we thought about ahead of time. And then we're going to kind of spitball around and just talk about ideas. And for the most part, I didn't really constrain myself based on what EA would actually do. This is just kind of what you would, in your wildest dreams, want to happen. So having said that, Carly, what you got? What's one of your Star Wars games you want to pitch?
Well, I'm not sure I completely got the memo, so I came up with 13 concepts.
Oh, okay.
So I don't have like one really, really in-depth concept. I just have 13 games that should totally happen.
Okay. Why don't you go ahead and give us one of them?
Okay. One of the games is Stormtrooper Simulator. It's going to play in the style of The Sims. You just kind of create your own Stormtrooper, and their job, instead of like getting a special job in The Sims, you'll just get a different department of the First Order or the Empire. Go to your job, socialize with some other Stormtroopers, maybe strike up a romance or two, go socialize in the lounge or the cafeteria after work.
Then go back to the bunk.
Practice your shooting. Go to like a little war scenario and miss every single rebel.
Yes.
And then go home and probably do your little sim sad dance or whatever. Because you didn't do a very good job in the battle, but that's okay.
I love it. That's perfect. Stormtrooper Simulator. So you would have like a little bunk.
Yes.
And you would be able to customize
You'd have like your own
bunk.
little room, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. You'd have a like tiny little room that you could customize a little bit, but not like beyond Imperial standards.
So in the same way that in The Sims you can like pick your career path, would you get to pick like what you want to do as a storm, like what kind of trooper you want to be?
Yes, like if you want to pursue officer, or like if you're a pilot, if you're a normal field
I would
agent.
say this would not be a canon game then. We would
No,
not be like
no.
adding canon to it, because the First Order would get really boring really fast. Like, no, go back to your bunk. What is that on the wall? It's a post-it note with, like...
Okay, that's not true. The First Order happens to have lots of posters. They're just of like Captain Phasma, but you get to pick if you want, like, which posters. Do you want Kylo Ren on your wall,
That
or
must
do you
be an
want
exciting
Captain Phasma?
meeting. Hey guys, you get to pick your poster that gets to go on the wall today.
It would be exciting for them.
It would be.
That's as creative as they get to be ever.
All right, Rob, what you got for us?
So, I was thinking, I really want an open world Star Wars game. Like, something doesn't really need to be so much story driven. No Man's Sky was very interesting when it came out, other than it was an eighth of the game that we were promised. But it was very interesting because there was discovery, and then they added a little bit of building, and it was fun, just running around naming animals and things like that. It got old quick once you realized that, there's only so many things you could see, but then every so often you'd find a really cool planet. So I was thinking, like, how could you do that type of thing in the Star Wars universe? Not so much story-driven, and, bring back the part of No Man's Sky where, like, maybe we can interact with people, really build stuff, make it useful. So my idea was Settlers of Mandalore. And it would essentially be, because Mandalore is, thousands of planets, all with their own little clans, their own little stories, and you can use the Mandalore, and it would be obviously pre-Clone Wars, or pre-prequel, period. And what we would find would be the player could get a planet to settle with new Mandalorians. And you could kind of fight between the different planets and everything. But you could use the Mandalorian Warrior Code kind of as a game mechanic to help with, when you attack a planet, of another person, you have to give them certain warning and things, and you could use the Mandalorian code that way. So Dave Filoni would have to be really involved with this, otherwise it would really mess up the Mandalorian mythology. But I just think that would be a really neat way to allow people to build their own Star Wars universe a little bit, and still have that open world feel. It could be as much Star Wars as you wanted, or as little Star Wars as you wanted. But everyone would get their set of Mandalorian armor to remake as they want, since we know that Mandalorian armor is always the same armor in the family. It just keeps getting passed down. And I think that would be a really cool open world concept.
So you're like exploring the galaxy to find places to settle.
Right. Well,
essentially.
you would probably get like a procedurally generated world that was specific to you, and you could go to war with other worlds.
Okay.
And I'm guessing, like, obviously everyone can't be online all the time, so that's why the Mandalorian code would come in to help balance that a good bit. Like, you have to announce to someone that you're going to be attacking their world, certain...
And then they have like a certain amount of time to respond. Like if they don't get online, then you get to just kind of attack their defenseless world.
Right, and then if you're someone who just leaves the game for a while, then as that, like, maybe you can't travel to that world as the person who conquered it, but you would keep getting money from that world because you conquered it. And then as that person kind of leaves their world unattended, eventually you could assimilate it.
Neat.
But you would get updates saying, hey, this world gets assimilated in 15 days if you don't do something. Like, you need to start a rebellion against the people who've taken it over or something.
Cool.
So,
That sounds fun.
yeah, I would play it.
I'd play that too. So my first game concept that I thought of, I call it Star Wars: The Padawan. Like Rob's, it would take place before Episode 1, probably by a good amount. It'd probably be a good 50, maybe 100 years before Episode 1. Essentially what it is you start the game as a Padawan in the Jedi Temple. And there's like a really in-depth lightsaber creator, so like you create your own custom lightsaber, because the whole idea is that like your lightsaber, is the symbol of the Jedi Order, so like there's a lot of customization that goes into making your perfect lightsaber that reflects who you are, and the lightsaber can kind of change as you get more components for it throughout the game. But essentially the tutorial would be like you're competing with the other students to get the attention of one of the Jedi Masters who's picking a Padawan. This was a story they did in the old Obi-Wan Kenobi, like, junior kids novels that I used to read that were really fun, like Obi-Wan trying to get Qui-Gon's attention. And then once that's done, a master picks you and you go on this adventure, but then you get caught up in some crazy nonsense and your master gets, like, kidnapped or something to that effect, and then you are now kind of a young adult Padawan, maybe 16 to 18, and you have to make your way through the criminal underworld of the galaxy to rescue your master. And there's like a skill tree where you can be more combat oriented or more force oriented. And it would kind of have the tone of like the Knights of the Old Republic comics, where like Zane Carrick was having to team up with all these like weird people to make his way through the underworld. You had that one side character who kept calling him an intern instead of a Padawan. And that would kind of be the tone of it. It would be a third-person action game that's really story-heavy, and so it would be developed absolutely by Ninja Theory, which are the guys who did... the most recent thing they did was Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. They did Enslaved: Odyssey to the West. They did the DMC reboot, unfortunately, but they also did Heavenly Sword. So, like, they are the ones to make this, or even, like, Sony Santa Monica, which would be unrealistic, but they could also make it. But that was kind of my first one, because I think there needs to be some more third-person action-adventure going on in Star Wars games. And I think that would be the time to set it, is, like, before the prequels, and you're mostly dealing with some big criminal organization, I think. And then in the sequel, you're now a Jedi Master, and you have to pick an apprentice. But that was my main idea for a game that I think would be fun.
Yeah. Very in depth.
Yes, we all sort of we didn't really like meet to come up with an agreed upon. This is how we're gonna do this
We
video.
just had
so
a prompt.
yeah, we just had like a prompt, which is like pitch your Star Wars game. And so I've got like three.
My prompt came in a text message while I was on the gym right before heading over here, so I'm sorry if they're not as fleshed out. The art designer really has to be the specific person. He's the one who did Force Awakens, I think.
I just wanted to. Yeah, I want. I need Jock to do all the character art. Obviously, he was the one who did the art for Last Jedi. So
We're gonna get Ralph McQuarrie. I don't care how much money it costs. We're gonna
Yeah.
get him. He's dead.
no, it's good because like I've got like three fairly in-depth game ideas. Carly's got like 13 concepts, and then I don't know how many you have, but that's my first
Depends
idea.
on how many I can steal from Carly before the end.
Fair point. Carly,
luck.
rapid fire us. Give us a couple more.
A couple more? Okay. I have one that's just called Star Wars Phasma, and it's going to play out like Alien Isolation.
Yes.
So some innocent like little ship is driving by after the destruction of the Supremacy, picking up stuff. They pick up this thing that they think is a dead body along with a bunch of other junk, but then Phasma actually wakes up. So
So you're saying Phasma is the alien?
Exactly.
You just sold me.
So you're like a crew member on
Yes,
board this ship,
yes.
and Phasma's like stalking you
Phasma,
through
like
the,
who is still
oh
kind
my
of
God.
injured from the Supremacy
Yeah.
incident,
No,
is
I'm-
like stalking you across.
I'm sorry,
the
I
ship.
just pre-ordered the Chrome edition already.
the Chrome
The
edition.
Chrome Dome
yeah.
edition.
The Chrome Dome edition. That's so good.
EA, you know that's marketable.
That's
Okay.
the best. Okay,
So-
I would play the hell out of that.
So there's a serious one that's gonna be some pretty hardcore like horror type game.
Okay.
Then I have a little. This could be like a mobile game, very casual. My Little Bantha, which is a Tamagotchi clone, but for like Star Wars creatures, you can get Lothcats. You okay there? You can even get like Rathtars, just like any little Star Wars creature, and
My
you're
little
just kind of
Nexu.
raising it. Yeah. You got it. So it's like a Tamagotchi Nintendogs type game.
Oh my God.
So
That's
I
so
I
good.
think that would be fantastic personally.
That blows mine out of the water. All right, let's see. Yeah.
I've got TIE Simulator, which would be like a real canonverse like type game that are just like a series of flight simulators.
Yeah.
Because like we know that Rey learned to fly from just like putting together old flight simulators and then playing them.
So it'd be like
So
a
it'd be like a
simulator
really
game that would be an
in-depth,
canon
yeah,
simulator
like we would
game.
actually get to see what controls in like an X-wing and a TIE fighter look like.
Yeah.
So that'd be pretty cool.
Battlefront 1 actually had a VR X-Wing mission.
Yeah.
And I played it, and it was tons of fun. It was just really handheld holding the whole time, and it was kind of marketed as a demo
Yeah.
type of thing. But isn't there a Vader VR?
Yeah, there's
game
a
that
Vader
they've announced?
VR game is in development, and I actually stumbled upon who was developing it while I was looking stuff up. But that is being made.
Yeah, but didn't mean to take away from Carlos. It's just like, yeah, it was tons of fun. The 3 minutes I got to be an X-wing pilot with 360 view was amazing, and yeah, I would play that.
Yeah. I mean, I just think it'd be a really cool thing for people to be able to look at, especially people who really like ships. So, not
Totally.
necessarily me, but
Yeah.
some other people.
All right, what else you got, Carly? Let's get a few more of these out there.
Okay, I've got The Beacon, which is a
Okay.
Parnassus survival horror that takes place hundreds of years after the sequel trilogy, after, like, the First Order, like, Brendel Hux and Phasma have both kind of gone back and, like, bombed Parnassus even more than it already was.
Yeah.
So this is a Last of Us style thing where you're like this character who's traveling probably with some children or something, who gets word that there is this place on the other side of the planet that the like Prime Republic or New Republic, whatever, has set up that they are like inviting survivors to. But you only have like 2 weeks to get there.
Ooh.
So it's like a survival horror type game where you're trying to get to this place.
So you're trying to get from one end of Parnassus to the other.
Yeah, and you
it's-
travel through like a lot of the crazy things we see, and maybe like in the Phasma novel, but maybe they're even like worse now because of all that did happen at the end of the Phasma novel with like Brendel basically dropping bombs throughout Parnassus. So it's kind of like a Fallout wasteland like type thing, but you got these little beetles that like if you even kind of get injured and you're near sand, then like you have to run because
Yeah.
these little beetles are gonna come like kill you instantly. And
I love it.
stuff like that.
And the moss kills you too, doesn't
Like everything on Parnassus
Everything.
kills you.
Yeah.
Parnassus is like the worst place
It's
ever.
space
Which
Australia.
is why which is why it'd be great for a survival horror game.
All right, Rob, what you got?
The Five Sabers. It has been in just about every really good canon thing outside of the movies, and they mention it in books. They mention it in little off here, off there things. I think they're getting ready for it, but it is the Star Wars universe version of the Grand Prix and the Le Mans Challenge and all our big racing things. It is. The neat thing is, all we know about it is these little snippets, and they sound amazing. It's a several-day challenge, which means you have tons of gameplay options. And, you know, you could do it as a whole circuit thing, meaning that maybe you don't start on the Five Sabers, you start on smaller venues. But it's a time of peace in the galaxy, you know, as far as most people are concerned, in
Yeah.
between the Empire and the New Order. And this is their entertainment. You know, every planet probably has some type of racing thing. Boonta Eve, of course, is the pod racing. It's like a regional thing.
Yeah.
But by the way, rewatching Clone Wars, and also I've seen it on Reddit and things, but I'd noticed it when I was doing a Clone Wars rewatch. Anakin, who's a Jedi at this point, has the Boonta Eve poster from the one he won. And I'm like, he shouldn't have that. He shouldn't have anything in that room. Why did they let him keep that? But it just bothered me. Anyway, but the Five Sabers, and I think that's really neat because Han Solo clearly would have regular cameos since that's something he kind of does.
Yeah.
Lando Calrissian, there's no way he's not showing up to bet on people on a regular basis. You got the Hutts. You've got almost every underworld person who's either turned around and made it clean or just is involved in a gambling scene would be able to show up as a cameo. And you could even have like a Canto Bite part. I mean, yeah, Star Wars racing, but the Five Sabers would be, of course, like the end result, and that would be fantastic. As I basically envision it as being the Star Wars knockoff of. What's the one with the cars? People get addicted to it.
There are lots of them.
Mario Kart?
No, that's it. No, just kidding.
Oh, Rocket League.
Rocket League.
Oh,
Thank
okay.
you.
Yeah,
Five
you're-
Sabers
you're-
would be Star Wars Rocket League.
You were telling me about that.
Because you could, and the ability, I mean, microtransactions. EA, listen to me here. Microtransactions would just be insane because everyone would be tripping out their speeders and everything else. It would never end. The money would just flow in.
I think it'd be cool because you could like also have cameos from like Resistance characters. Because like obviously Star Wars Resistance is one big. It takes place in a racing platform, so like you could have a level that would be in the Colossus, and you could meet some of those characters and stuff.
These kids are ready, and the reason us adults watch Resistance is we want to see Star Wars racing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that'd be cool.
And this ain't pod racing.
This ain't pod racing.
That's the tagline.
That's good too. It's factually not. It's just not. It's not. If you came here expecting pod racing, I don't know what to tell you. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and give my next pitch. So this one is Star Wars Bounty Hunter, not to be confused with the game that already exists that's called Star Wars Bounty Hunter, which is a fun game and everyone should play it. But my vision for a Star Wars Bounty Hunter game is essentially Far Cry 3, but Star Wars. So it takes place right after the end of the Clone Wars. It's an open world first person shooter with skill trees, some light RPG elements, the ability to customize your weapon just like you can in Far Cry 3, and the ability to kind of play how you want to play it to a degree. So it would very much be in that vein. It would all take place on Nar Shaddaa right after the end of the Clone Wars. Essentially, the Clone Wars has left tons of people as refugees because planets were ravaged and people lost their homes. So all these refugees go to Nar Shaddaa, which I'm kind of stealing from KOTOR 2 because there's a lot of refugees on Nar Shaddaa in KOTOR 2. So I'm kind of stealing that idea, but all these refugees end up on Nar Shaddaa, and there's this criminal overlord who, like I said, in the very, very, literally early months of the Empire, takes advantage of this, and he's like, I've got all these refugees, I can expand my criminal empire, use these refugees as essentially like slave labor, and just essentially build this huge criminal empire on Nar Shaddaa. And you are a bounty hunter who comes to Nar Shaddaa to take advantage of all this like lawlessness after the fall of the Republic, but then you end up getting swept up in this, and you become sort of like this people's champion, and you end up fighting this guy who, you're a criminal as well, but he's trying to just take advantage of these people. And so you are essentially there to be in this open world Nar Shaddaa. You're going to hunt bounties to turn them in as side quests, and part of the main quest you'll be taking on. You'll be, finding bounties, but you'll also be liberating refugees from strongholds that are, created by this guy who is, taking advantage of the lawlessness. It'd be like a Ubisoft game, so you'd climb on some freaking towers and unlock section of the map. But like, I don't know. I know it's kind of popular to hate on Ubisoft games these days, and I totally get it, but I really do like Far Cry 3 in particular, but I like the Far Cry like style of game.
Their Nemesis engine actually was really good as well. The ability to have the NPCs are actually picking fights amongst each other and moving up, and based on your interactions with them completely changes your game.
Yeah. So I think a Ubisoft-style open-world game that's set on Nar Shaddaa, where you end up as a criminal but become this like people's champion to help these refugees while also doing stuff on the side and getting bounties to amass your own fortune.
I assume you could kind of be like Paragon or Renegade too, where like no matter what, you're the champion, but people might view you a little bit better.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. There'd be like you can be just goody two-shoes and only hunt bounties that are actual bad people. Or you can
You're just kind of the lesser evil.
yeah. Or you can kind of be a full-on kind of, renegade bounty hunter. Yeah, exactly. I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah, I think something like that would be really cool. And so that's kind of my second idea. And if no one has anything to add to it, we can go to Carly. You got more ideas to pitch?
Oh, yes.
I love Carly's.
These
ones bring me great joy to know that someone thought of them.
Yeah, me too.
We're only 5 in, so we got quite a few more. Okay, so the next one is Yavin Rancher, which is really based on the fact that the Dameron family moved to Yavin, and they actually own like a ranch there. They grow melons and stuff. So you're actually a rival family in this scenario, and you own a farm. So it's like a Stardew Valley Harvest Moon type game.
You had to put one in there.
Which is my favorite genre of video.
Yep.
So yeah, it's just like a farming game. You can raise, banthas or whatever, nerfs. And you're really just about growing crops and trying to be a successful business on Yavin post the Empire.
Like Nerfville?
You can name your ranch whatever you want.
So just all the standard Harvest Moon
All the very
tropes.
standard, farming game tropes, only it's in Star Wars. So.
Nice. Would there be like other farmers that you can romance and have friendships with and stuff?
Yes. I
Nice.
mean, it would be very stereotypical. Everything that's normally in a farming game.
Nice. Mm-hmm. All right, what else you got?
Okay, so the next one is The Queen's Dresser, which is a crafting game. So this is more along the lines of like My Time at Portia or some other generic game where your main focus is gathering materials and creating objects, only it would kind of have a little bit of like, I don't know, there's like a series of Nintendo DS games that are like Fashion Designer where you like put these like different pieces together to make outfits and then you get judged based on that.
Yeah.
So you're actually dressing the Queen of Naboo, that's your job.
Would you start off with lower people like, governors? And,
Yes,
okay.
but you're going to work up to, like, dress the Queen of Naboo, and then you have to, like, dress her for different events. So you need to get together like pieces of clothing that really like make her look more diplomatic or make her look more Nabooian for like certain things, because all clothing will have attributes. So you need it to total like a certain amount, and that's really how that would play out. It'd just be kind of like a fun little crafting game where you just get to put on pretty outfits on the queen, because
Would
Naboo
not play
queen.
it, but probably would buy it to support the idea.
Glad it exists.
Glad that exists.
Nice. All right, what else you got?
Well, right now we're kind of in the relaxing genre for like the next one also.
Okay.
So the next one is VNOR, which stands for Visual Novel Old Republic.
Oh.
So you're actually a student in like an old academy for like Jedi back in the day, way before the prequels. And it's just going to be a visual novel. So there's going to be like a little story about this old Force Academy and how someone is actually trying to bring the dark side in. And you're just kind of investigating all that, but you interact with a bunch of other classmates. We have various types of Force people. So you kind of like, you can romance people, just all the basic things in a visual novel, only it's in Star Wars.
I think it's pretty obvious what kind of games you enjoy.
Okay, my first 5 had nothing to do with that,
That's
so I
true.
don't know what you're
That's fair. Would it be so? It wouldn't be like a Doki Doki Literature Club type.
No,
visual
it
novel?
would not. No, it would be a more standard visual novel than that. I don't think we could really pull off another Doki Doki Literature Club. I
Fair
think that was
enough.
a one-off.
Fair enough. All right, I like them. I like all of them. Do you have any more in the relaxy genre? Can we move on to Rob's next one?
No, that's all the relaxing ones. We kind of now I have to go to the next page. So
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
that's good
So
for that.
Rob, go ahead. You got another one? You got another one in your back pocket?
So like there are tons of kid books, kid like learning books with Star Wars. All sorts, like, Yoda teaches you your ABCs.
So you're thinking like Jumpstart Star Wars?
Yeah.
Like Mario teaches typing.
Exactly. That was actually what I was thinking. I was like Thrawn Paint, maybe.
Like an educational game that's hosted by Thrawn. That'd be
Maybe not that specifically, but I think there should be a line of Star Wars educational games. Yoda teaching English, not the best idea. But there's no reason that you can't have like a Reader Rabbits with a Star Wars skin. Mario taught me to type.
Yeah.
That's I will never deny that. I can only type because Mario made me do it. And Luigi's history thing taught me. Luigi's Time Machine, I think
Mario.
it was.
I think was that not Mario is Missing, where like Luigi has to go around and.
That could be it.
Yeah.
But essentially, you had to go through time, and you had to learn all these facts. It was kind of a where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? With
Yeah, that's
Mario.
that's
Yeah.
Mario is Missing.
Yeah. With a more of a time bent. But, Star Wars could definitely do that, because those were games I spent a lot of time with. I learned a lot, and that's why I still have an affinity for Mario, even though I didn't play the regular Mario games. Last regular Mario game I played was Mario Brothers 3. Obviously I played like a few minutes here and a few minutes there of a couple others, but Mario Brothers 3 was the only... Mario 1, 2, and 3, played all of those. But I really played all of the learning games with Mario. And I just think there's a huge market for educational software, and parents would be happy to give their kids an educational game that's Star Wars skinned.
I want like a game where Thrawn teaches you about art history.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, but it'd
Yeah.
just be way too much work, and people might not get it.
I'd love it.
Yeah, that's my concern. They might not get it.
I like it though. That's good. I don't know what other like educational games could you do in Star Wars? Would you do like a typing game where it's like Typing of the Dead, but you're in like an X-wing, so you have to like type to like fire at TIE fighters?
Every typing game has like 20 different levels with different ways of doing it, and each of those could be like, you're right. You could do an X-wing destroying asteroids. You could do something with droids teaching math.
You could do like a puzzle game, like a children's learning game where you are a Padawan in the Jedi Temple and you're like learning like
logical
math
journey
and
of the
logics.
Zambini. If you've ever seen that? Yeah, that game taught me logic. All it was you had these little characters that basically you could pick their hair, accessory, nose color, feet,
Yeah.
eyes, and ear. Oh no ears. And essentially, they had to make their way from their world that was dying to this new valley that they were going to all move to. And what you had to do was each of them, to get through each puzzle, the individual character, like sometimes it was they had to go same types of noses.
Yeah.
Or if you have someone with green shoes, the next person cannot have green shoes. And it's like all these little logic puzzles, and they got harder and harder and harder over time. And if you failed, you would lose them. The character would just die, which also made the puzzles harder because you had to get through the entire journey with those guys. And then once you got all the way through the journey, you would go get another set of them and bring them through. I think it was like 15 or whatever. But yeah, I was thinking that type of thing, like the logical journey of Zimbinis, Jedi temples are fantastic for that.
Yeah.
Because Padawans are of a certain age, but Jedi were taken as babies.
Yeah.
So they had to go through basic math training. They had to go through that, and it couldn't have just been Yoda sitting there with a little pad telling them what to do. There was more to it, and these temples would be a great place to use as teaching backdrop.
That'd be cool.
I think you hit the nail on the head there with that.
Yeah, I'd play that. I mean, I wouldn't play that because it would be for children, but I would look at it.
I think some adults would benefit.
Yeah. So, my next kind of in-depth one, this one I would call Star Wars The Rebel. And my pretty much pitch was just Deus Ex, but Star Wars.
That is a good game.
Like, just take Deus Ex Human Revolution, where you have a goal to accomplish. Are you going to be suave, and are you going to talk to someone in a bar to get a passcode that you need? Are you going to just hack into it and sneak your way in? Are you going to just shoot the people and go in and take what you want? So that, but as a rebel in the early days of the rebellion. And it explores themes of, like, when are you going to go, where's the line? When are you going too far, and are there people in the galaxy who are actually somewhat benefiting by the law and order that the Empire provides? Like, are there some people who are kind of benefiting from that? And so, like, you'd be part of, like, Saw Gerrera's team, or maybe even working with Enfys Nest.
Or Cassian Andor.
Yeah, or
Mon
Cassian.
Mothma.
Yeah, really, any of them. And you would just be a rebel, and it would basically pretty much just be like Deus Ex. Like, you would be in a specific planet. You could travel to another planet and have a big level in that planet to mess around with, and you would basically have different objectives. And are you going to invest in being like a suave, smooth talker? Are you going to be like a hacker? Are you going to be like a heavy weapons guy? And it would basically just kind of explore these ideas of how far are you willing to go, who are you willing to sacrifice, stuff like that. And obviously you could have like Eidos Montreal make it, because they're the guys who made Deus Ex Human Revolution. Or you could bring in Arcane Studios, which are the guys who did, guys and gals, who did the Dishonored games, and do like a Dishonored style game where there's...
See, now you're getting into one of my concepts.
Oh, dang. Carly and I are big fans of Dishonored.
It's still a very different concept, so you're good.
But essentially Deus Ex, but Star Wars. So, it's not really an open world RPG. There are linear areas. Well, I mean, there are open areas, but you go from different areas to different areas, and, how you approach, you're always doing the same thing, but how you do it is going to kind of be up to you, and how you build out your particular rebel. I just think that'd be really fun. There are a lot of creative ideas out there for games that we'll probably never get because of EA, but that was one of the ones that I thought of that I got kind of really excited about, because I'm normally not a big Galactic Civil War era person, but I think that would be really fun, and I would play it. That's about all. That's all I got. All right, Carly, go.
All right. So I've got Force Ghost, tentatively named as a Souls-like.
Souls-like?
Oh,
Like
yes,
Dark
a Souls-like,
Souls.
like Dark Souls, like
Oh.
Bloodborne.
Yeah.
So it takes place, also like well before the prequel trilogy, and you are actually the bad guy. You're this like really big evil Sith Lord who can take like kind of the
Like
echoes
Darth
of
Bane or something.
yeah, who can kind of like take the basically the force energy like right when people die from them. So you collect force ghosts.
Oh my god.
And that is how you level up. And you're going around like you are the big threat in the universe, and you're gonna fight like Jedi and stuff like that, and creepy, crazy like force monsters. Some of which we've met in like Rebels and stuff, like things like that. Yeah, just a Star Wars Souls-like.
I thought about making a Souls-like because I love Soulsborne games, but I was like, I can't figure out a way to
no.
make it work. That's beautiful. I love it. That's so good. I would play that. Yeah, that'd be cool. You'd be like Marco Ragnos or something. Is he? He's not canon anymore. Anyways, what's another concept you got?
So now I have Threat Ascending, which is actually a strategy RPG that takes place entirely outside of known space. It's in the Chiss Ascendancy, so you like get to like create your own Chiss, whether you're like female or male. And then from that point, it's pretty much a war strategy game
Your
that
shade of
has
red
RPG
eyes?
elements. Yes, your shade of red eyes. Just like basically, kind of like Mass Effect, but without the more adventure action stuff going on. It'd be more a strategy game, kind of like Fire Emblem or something like that.
Oh, so like XCOM.
Yeah,
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay.
something like that, but it takes place like kind of in the founding of the Chiss Ascendancy.
Ooh,
So
look at you. You're
something like that.
You're like prime time LucasArts back when they were throwing stuff at the wall. I like it. All right, what else you got?
I got Battle Droids, which is a game in the vein of Digimon or Pokemon, where you get a team of like little droids, and then you can kind of like change them and customize them, and you're battling other people who have teams of battle droids.
Why
So
did-
you're just like a tinkerer,
L3
basically, on
does
like
not approve of this in any way.
so.
Why did
You're
Rob
like
not
a
even try?
tinkerer
You've got all the good ideas.
So yeah, you're a tinkerer on like some Star Wars planet where like there aren't really that many bounty hunters or force users, but most people get by having like droid servants, basically. So you get to like level up your droids.
That's
Just
so
kind
good.
of change out their parts to make them like be able to do different things. You get to treat them however you want, because droids with love are raised better, like in Pokemon somehow.
And there's someone who's like a
Well, 'cause-
rival. There's
no,
someone who's like
there's-
a rival droid trainer. He's like, the only thing that matters are having strong, powerful droids.
Well, I mean,
And you're
there's
just
also
like, no,
the
love.
element of like the longer you go without like wiping their memory, the like stronger they are, but they may not listen to you as well. Like when you tell them to do certain things, kind of like how
Ooh.
Pokemon who you don't have who don't respect you,
Yeah.
because you don't have like a badge high enough and you've traded for them, like they don't listen to you necessarily. So
Gosh.
some stuff like that.
So good.
So that's Battle Droids.
All right, you got another one?
I got two more.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's round
Wait,
it out.
two more total?
Yes,
Oh wow,
two
That's
more.
just been so much fun.
That'll round
Yeah,
up
I
my
know.
13.
More and more, I'm wanting to play Queen's Wardrobe.
I know, me too.
I'm just like sitting here going like, I do want to play that.
All right, what else you got?
Okay, so now I have Justice, which is my Dishonored-like game.
Okay.
So it takes place after the Battle of Endor.
Okay.
So this is, I don't know if you read the Aftermath books, so you know how there's like Mercurial Swift, who is hired by the Empire to go like save Brendel Hux, and like Armitage from the rebellion essentially coming to get them.
Yeah.
Okay, so you are the like rebellion, like you're one of these people. You're a bounty hunter who is like really identified with the rebellion, and you are now getting your revenge on these high-ranking people in the Empire. And since the Empire is no longer in power, you're an assassin who is going after all of these important people.
So like
Brendel
Dishonored
Hux and,
style,
like all these.
like each person you're
Yeah.
going after has like a level,
Exactly.
and you have to get to them. Like just in, you're gonna make me
just
want
like Dishonored, only it's like different Imperial officers. Some of which maybe can even be real ones we've seen in like Rebels and stuff, who never got their like justice, as it's called.
You're gonna make me want to play Dishonored again. Oh man, that sounds super fun.
And then like some like Brendel Hux will obviously like get away, and that'll be a plot point.
I love it.
So yeah,
That's cool. Yes, I would play
that's
that.
my Dishonored like.
That's a
And
very good
then
one.
my last one is a little more relaxed, but not completely. I don't know if you've played Frostpunk, the like city builder that's all, I think it's only on Steam. I don't think it's on any other consoles. But it's called First Order Origins. So this is when like Ray Sloan and Brendel Hux and everybody flee to the unknown regions. They basically have nothing, so they're having to like build the First Order from nothing. So it's just like a city builder. It's kind of like SimCity, only with things that can come and kill you out of nowhere. So it's like that. Like you're starting with this one Star Destroyer and you have to like make deals with local people and use the people you do have to do jobs well, or else your like little up and coming First Order is going to get destroyed.
Yeah.
So it's just essentially like building up the First Order from your little pocket of space.
There really should be more Star Wars strategy games. More like RTS games or turn-based strategy games.
I think there should be
Wars.
Star Wars games in all genres.
I
Is
do
really
too.
what my what I'm trying to get from these ideas.
Very cool. I love all of them. They're all really good. Rob, do you have any? I think we might shoot to just keep this one at the 45-minute mark.
I got one. I got one last one.
Go for
Okay.
it. Go for it.
Okay, so this one's just way outside the box. It's not really a specific game, but Disney takes back the license from EA. That's a pipe dream in and of itself.
For sure.
But essentially,
I don't know. Like they're. But continue. Go ahead.
essentially, I call the project Galactic Senate.
Okay.
And what it would be is all Star Wars games, rather than being created by one company, would be linked in like a kind of social network. So you may not care to play first-person shooter games, but you really like Nerf herding.
Yeah.
So you would just play your Nerf herder game on Facebook all day.
Yeah.
But you could join, like you would have to pick a planet or something to be on. And so you would be a farmer on that planet. Someone else would be like a kind of like a Minecraft Star Wars game where they're building, or like a city builder. So they're building the planets for that. The cities for that planet.
Yeah.
Another person might enjoy being a bounty hunter. So inside the cities that are being built, so what it would be a huge platform that would build itself, and then instead of having clans, you would have planets, and then people who wanted to get like really far into it might be like they're the the people who wanted to play the political games could become parts of the Senate and represent their planet there. And then as it grew, eventually,
So just kind of like a Second Life type massive online Star Wars community.
Exactly, but every type of game would have its part, and your friends who play some part of it help and benefit you and help build the huge universe. I mean, obviously this is years down the road, but the basics of the technology are there already, and it would be kind of like a social media platform of its own for Star Wars and Star Wars fans. And eventually you could play out the Galactic Civil War because everyone could start aligning their planets.
Nice.
And then you could have fleet games, and then it would be more like EVE Online or something.
Yeah, I think there's room in the market for some sort of MMO Star Wars that's not Star Wars: The Old Republic. Because I think Star Wars: The Old Republic is just kind of a WoW clone, but in the trappings of KOTOR, because everyone loves KOTOR. But like, I think Star Wars is such a broad, expansive universe. I think an MMO makes a lot of sense, but I think they could get a little bit more creative with it.
It's also difficult with Star Wars to not do it like a guided type of thing.
Yeah.
Because you've got to have cities, you've got to have... It's hard to just... Tatooine would be easy. I think you could get away with an MMO on Tatooine because you just got to throw a moisture evaporator over here, Anyway, you get the idea.
Well, that's cool. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, those are kind of just our thoughts. I mean, obviously, there's a couple obvious things. I would love to obviously see, like, Rogue Squadron brought back, but maybe with, like, the Black Squadron team, more of those types of games. But those are kind of our initial, like, games that were kind of our pipe dream pitches for games. And yeah, if you guys have any particular Star Wars game that you would love to see happen in like your wildest dreams, or just a franchise you would like to see back, brought back, like the Jedi Knight games or like the Rogue Squadron games, let us know in the comments. And I think we're going to call it on this one. And I'm Matt.
I am Carly.
I'm Rob.
So glad you're here, Rob.
No, you're not. You're not.
All right, we'll see you again. Thanks for tuning in.